Welcome back, everybody, to another Thinking Out Loud. I'm a little hot today. We're gonna jump right into it. I was telling, cause like I have a phone plan, right? Let's just say
We
it.
were warming up the engine. You know,
I have
like
a
when
phone.
you're trying to get your girl there, you warm up the engine.
Yeah, you do. You gotta warm up the engine.
Warm
You
up
don't
the
just
engine.
drive off. You gotta warm up the engine. We warm up the engine before. Normally, we get off to a slow start. But just for today, because he's asking, because like for the past year, I've been dealing with my sister and I being on a phone plan together, super cheap. Right, I got grandfathered into this plan, which means that if I got rid of it now, it would never exist again. Right? I don't know why companies do this. Like, if you had a plan that worked,
because they know that they're losing profit.
yeah, because fuck them.
So
Because
they
I
have
used to.
to
This is
do it
another
that way.
quick example. Like, I used to pay $15 a month for Time Warner cable. I mean, cable. Sorry, internet. When I was a broke college student, I still am a broke college student. I'll forever be a broke college student.
Minus the college.
Minus the college and minus the student.
Minus the student. But broke adult.
Broke
type of
adult,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I fucking would pay $15 a month because that's all I could afford. Honestly, I could afford more, but I chose not to because I was making the most of it. I was living by myself, and I only ran one device at a time.
You were living on a budget, and you made your budget work.
And it
Just as
fucking
simple as
worked.
that.
It was great. Then I realized, you know what? I'm an adult. I should be paying for big boy internet. I then go ahead. I asked him, I'm like, hey, can I get a better plan? Can I get some better speeds? Because I was getting fucking. Okay, so right now I get it's like fucking 50. All right, I get
50
it. It was like a
megabytes.
student deal or whatever. But what the fuck kind of student runs on 50 megabytes? You know, we play video games.
I mean, no, granted,
Watch a lot of
if you-
porn, you know. The porn takes up a lot of fucking bandwidth. You know, you'd be surprised. And then you got fucking, you know, you're downloading music. Because I used to listen to a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
music.
true. Yeah,
You're downloading
music
music.
for sure.
You're watching movies. I used to binge. Game of Thrones was hot at the time. I used to binge all that shit. Like, how the fuck am I going to survive on $15 a month of internet? Fucking, they swindled me for $80 for a $60 plan that goes up to $75 in a year.
As long as you're using an Ethernet cord, you can make it work. But
I
if
do
you're not
that.
using an Ethernet cord and you're relying on the Wi-Fi, yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
I enjoy, like, I want us
Yeah.
to do live streaming shows and stuff like that, but like my internet capabilities are weak. We can do it from my phone, but it's just not the same when we aren't, you know, playing games and streaming at the same time. Anyways, fucking, I have this phone plan from T-Mobile where I can fucking have two people on the same line for like, and if you're on auto pay, it's only $50.
Yeah.
Right? Because they expect you to pay on time, and that kind of gives you the discount. My sister for the longest was like, "Yo, I'm not gonna be able to pay you for it." Like, she didn't even say that. She just stopped. She just stopped paying me for the phone bill, and I would pay for it, and I'm just be like, "All right, whatever."
So you would just cough it up yourself.
I just ignored it.
Yeah, to pay.
To be
the full
honest, you know, because like
balance.
it's one thing to press her about it. 'Cause she's a young adult, younger than me, but still.
She can make her own decisions, type of thing.
Yeah, and so I was just like, okay, fine. I took
But,
her off of it.
I still, respectfully to your sister, I still think that's kind of rude. Like,
It
you
is
should at
rude.
least just give someone a heads up, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to afford this anymore.
It was
Or
hella
I don't
rude.
want to be on the plan anymore.
It's
And
like
I'm going to go branch off and do my own thing. But yeah, you know, I mean, respectfully, it's also kind of bad on you too, though. Like, I
Why?
would have just stopped paying for her shit.
Oh, I see. Bad on me because I kept
'Cause you
enabling
kept- yeah, you
her
kept
behavior
enabling it,
because she kept
exactly.
thinking I would like
Yeah.
pay it regardless. It still bothered me that because like she never acknowledged it, and like, you know, you get, you know, you're like, oh, it's a phone bill. Why you bickering? It's like, well, that's what happens with family. You bicker over shit like this, you know.
It's a bill at the end of the day. It's not about a
Yeah.
phone bill. It's a bill.
Yeah, it's a bill,
and as
and
a
it's
young
like
adult, you need to learn
and
how
it's
to
like
take
I-
care of your bills. And I mean, it's a
it's
responsibility.
$50
It's
a month. You know, I'm
responsibility.
not asking for like a $500 fucking car note,
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is still a lot of money. Because I don't know, my impressions about being a young adult were like, how the fuck do people buy cars,
right.
brand new cars? Like,
Right.
you just go and have $20,000, or you gotta apply for credit, and then the credit check is like your livelihood. It's like, what the fuck? Regardless, Nick has been asking me to join my plan, and I'm like, yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, well, because my fucking plan is $110, and I have unlimited everything, but it's $110. I can go towards a lot other things, a lot of other things.
So I was like, you
So
know,
I'm
man,
over it.
I don't mind you sharing this plan with me. I just feel weird,
Right.
not because, you know,
Well, no,
you know why? Because like it's my family. Like I would share it with them.
Yeah.
To give them a break, a financial like break, because phone bills like.
He wants to keep it in the family. He said at some point I'm going to kick you off the plan when I get a girlfriend. I was like, goddamn.
Yeah, I was telling him, I was like, bro, like this plan is like super dope because I get unlimited everything, and it was grandfathered.
It
And
is also T-Mobile though. Respectfully, T-Mobile is not.
the best.
Yeah, it's
Didn't
not
they
the
just
best
buy
service.
Sprint so like they merged so they now have like a better network or something? Whatever coverage they
but
had now
Sprint was
became
never
theirs.
good to begin with either.
You're not wrong. I mean, I don't really.
In my opinion, I still believe.
Was it Verizon or
I
Sprint?
still believe it's Verizon and AT&T that run the game. Like I'll be out on the sea, and I still have fucking
Through
bars.
Verizon?
I still have bars, not through AT&T.
Insane. Yeah, because
It's actually
T-Mobile,
nuts.
just forget about it. T-Mobile, you're anywhere outside of the fucking,
City, essentially.
boom, you're
Yeah.
done. And it's crazy because like these plans, because we all know that these companies they throttle our speeds. They
Oh,
make
they for sure
arbitrary
do.
lines about things. Like remember when people used to pay for messaging? You know.
Yeah,
I get, some people still have limited data. That's not a big, I mean, that's whatever, but
I got a bunch of shit one time because my messages were in like the thousands mark back in middle
can
school.
you, just what the fuck does, yeah, same.
But
I- now I
you
text
just send
my
in
fucking
dumb
head
shit.
off. Yeah.
Like you're a child and
With
you're
a
just
phone,
like, hey,
right? It's new
hey,
technology.
like, and it's a whole group chat. And at that time, I mean, yeah, at that time I didn't have an iPhone either, so it was just a bunch of messages coming in on this.
Yeah, I got hella
little
in trouble
phone.
too one time.
I think it was an LG. I think it was an LG that I had, like one of the flip phones.
I had a Nokia.
Mm.
It was one of those like fancy phones. Damn, looking back on the idea of like having to pay for messages and shit. What the fuck?
It's crazy. It's crazy how far we've come.
And it just goes to show you like how far back we've like fallen in terms of like mental health.
Goes to show you aliens are real.
It's
That as well.
Let me
Mental
tell you,
health, though, yeah.
they know, the government has told us they exist, and nobody cares. Nobody is like up in arms about like how the fuck are they getting so close to our military, and like nobody is on high alert. Nobody's at DEFCON 1. Like if it was China or Russia, it'd be all over the fucking place. But the moment someone's like, oh, we got buzzing fucking unidentified aircraft around naval ships and shit, it's like, well, what the fuck is that?
Well, it's also because, in a way, like, the way we've portrayed aliens is that, they're going to come here and take over our Earth and destroy us or whatever, right? But if they did come in buzzing UFOs, unidentifiable flying object?
No, they're called UAVs now. It's called unidentified aerial
something.
UAP, sorry, unidentified aerial phenomenon.
There you go, yeah. So, anyways, but you ever played Destroy All Humans, the game?
Yeah, it's a game
that's
where
the portrayal that we have of aliens.
I don't give a fuck about
and
aliens.
clearly it didn't go down like that. So
Uh-huh.
if they are
The government-
amongst us, my theory is that they gave us intelligence.
That
is my theory.
The theory
completely.
of intelligent design.
Yeah,
they
I
ma-
believe
they,
that they advanced us in science.
You know what?
100%.
There's a lot of propaganda going on right now about people being, us being these a byproduct of like ancient biological engineering.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what it is.
It's a
but like,
possibility.
people are allowed to believe whatever they want.
I'm an eternal.
I'm an eternal. Yeah, that movie was fun. I fucking don't even give a fuck about aliens because like if they show up, that just means everything we know about anything like just goes out the window about science and physics and stuff, because it's like, okay, you're able to travel the stars on how, what, like what fuel do you use, and if these aliens, if they're what we think to be aliens, are just like androids, because how do you send something over long distances? You need to make sure it can survive. So it would need food, water, and some kind of like, activity.
Right.
That's like organic life form. If it's synthetic, well, all it would need is some kind of renewable energy source, and it's able to collect data, do the minimal things, right? Maybe just communicate. I don't think that humans have developed that kind of advanced technology where we could send something over vast distances of space, and the technology would survive long enough to send messages back.
I think we're not ready for that yet, but if there are aliens, they'll give us that information.
I think we are ready because, like,
I don't believe we are. I really don't.
No, if we're ready, if we're ready for Lizzo in a see-through dress, and for Adele to lose weight.
Oh man.
Okay.
Adele's
if we're
a
ready
monster,
for all
by
that
the
kind of
way.
things, then yes.
She's something.
I love
she's
her.
Godly. Like she could be a goddess.
Leave her alone?
It's kind of crazy.
People leave her the fuck alone.
Adele could be a goddess.
She's allowed to lose weight. Okay.
She could be a goddess, man.
She's allowed to.
Yeah. Just her whole. You know, people say aura, but I when I look at Adele and I hear her voice and you close your eyes, like that's what you believe heaven is like, type of thing.
Oof.
She is something, man. She's quite. I don't know if you saw the trending video with
I wish nothing but the best for you.
Wait, hold on. Keep singing. Yeah, no, I don't see. No, this aura is not working.
Yeah, no, see, like I don't fucking.
But the trending video that is out right now with her and the proposal, the CBS. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's beautiful, man. It's really quite.
What is
something.
it? The proposal? What is that?
Yeah, so it's a gentleman who had been dating a woman for so many years and basically told her, you know, it'll happen eventually. I just want to do it the best way possible. And he got Adele to sing for them. You know, a song, and he proposed before that, and then she sang towards them.
That's exactly what you want, right?
It's amazing.
During a pandemic and you know, some of the worst times America has seen, is to want to make sure you give
good story.
Yeah, if you
right?
want, you want to make sure
story.
you give your wife the best wedding she deserves.
Mm.
You know, because
without like putting
matters,
you in
it
a
matters
position.
not. It matters not that gas is $5 a gallon. That's, you know, that fucking food has gone up. Everything has gone
it's
up.
inflation.
It's not inflation.
It is inflation.
It's called supply chain crisis. You know, there are like over 80 ships in the fucking bay.
Right.
Of the biggest trafficked fucking port in the world, right? And then you got fucking. It's supposed to be open 24 hours, right? And then they've got companies that are only open 9 to 5, and they want truckers driving 24 hours a day. And it's illegal for them to do that because they could potentially drive and kill somebody, you know, because they have a lack of sleep. They aren't allowed by law to drive more than, I think, 13 hours. Right? I think that's the maximum. And
because I believe your brain starts functioning in different ways.
It's so detrimental to not be sleeping. It's worse than being addicted to some kind of drug. It's lack of sleep. I
don't necessarily know that. It's real bad. It depends on what stage of addiction, because if you're addicted to a drug and you're trying to get off the drug, those withdrawal symptoms are
that's true.
Worst.
It could be really bad. It could
the
kill
worst
you.
Thing.
Then you've got these truck drivers who can't deliver because the places of delivery are not open because they're not running 24 hours, but the port is running 24 hours. Doesn't make a difference. They just passed the infrastructure bill. For those of you who don't keep up, maybe you've seen the headlines because that's the buzz line. Something really important, something that affects us all, is that fact that for the past couple decades, 2 decades ago, I was 6 years old. 2 decades ago, I was 6 years old. So how do we talk about something that
that you didn't necessarily live,
that I didn't live through? But as conscious young beings,
it's a moth, right?
It's a moth, yeah.
Okay. I thought that was a wasp. If it
was a wasp, we would have to.
We were going to cut this real short. We were gonna go. I'm not going to lie to you.
Look, the infrastructure bill, $1.85 trillion. Yay! Congratulations. That sounds like a lot of money. Let me just tell you something. We need a minimum of 7 to push our infrastructure up. To update our infrastructure. We're 14th in terms of infrastructure around the world. How the fuck does the greatest nation on earth rank 14th in terms of infrastructure? And then you're only going to give us 1.85 trillion. We need at least 7. We started at 10, but apparently we have certain conservative Democrats. That's the buzzword, or you could call them corporate Democrats, fucking sellouts. Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema. These two people specifically, they are paid and bought by donors that like want to see certain legislation not pass. Why? Because it's in their best interest. And when it's in their best interest, then it's in everybody's best interest to not do those kinds of things.
Yeah, but I mean that's how it's ran for a long time. It
You know
just
what?
goes like that.
2 decades ago, I had no idea what was going on in the country. 2 decades ago, it was.
You still
2000
don't.
I still don't.
Yeah.
2 decades ago, we had entered a war, right? One that's not real, one that we just got out of. Incredible. Two decades later, we just got out of it. The Afghanistan war, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we live with ourselves? And I think Dave Chappelle said it best. It's like when you can see everything, it's hard to care about anything.
Mm.
You know, it's like fucking A. Like we all have been
Why
through
did he
like
say
this.
that again? Did he say that because he was talking about moving out of the big city and going into his little rural town of, I believe, Oklahoma?
No, he was saying. This was a couple specials ago.
Mm.
He brought it up because, okay, so at the time, we had the George Floyd incident.
Right.
We had the Black Lives Matter movement. We had the woke movement. Well, the new wave wokeness, I'm gonna call it, because like I remember growing up differently about being woke. Now it's a fucking dirty word. Apparently, can you believe that? They're trying to say that the word woke is a derogatory term. Like what's
I
next?
would think it would depend more on the intention of someone saying like you need to be woke type of thing. You know what I mean?
It's true, yeah. Like if
then,
someone
then that's
uses
in
it,
a manner where it's like you're being degraded, and I could see that as derogatory.
not just
at that
degraded, you
moment.
might be like, it's patronizing.
Yeah.
You know, you're telling somebody the way they should be believing and acting.
I mean, yeah, it's religion. And that's what we've always
It's
done.
ideology. It's ideology.
ideology,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it can be parasitic because you find yourself within a tribe of people, and then this tribe of people decide to say, hey, like we are not cool with the other tribe of people
Mhm.
because they choose to not think the way we do.
And then your mind becomes flustered and
Well, you just
You
become
can-
confused. Like,
well, not just confused, but you adapt to your environment, right?
well, you know what? That's what
and
you
you're
would
not
think.
willing to like hear
Okay.
other people out type
That's
of
a
thing.
good one. Like,
in my opinion.
no, well, you know what? That's a good opinion, in my opinion, because think about it. You know how often I've talked to you about, like, sometimes off camera and on camera, how crazy things have gotten? Like, pre-pandemic, what were the kinds of things we would argue about? Video games and, like, petty shit. But
Me
the-
and you, or just
in general,
In
like, what would you,
general.
like, in general, right? Like, to think, or maybe, like, politics, right? Like, the dividing politics of, like, oh, I hate Trump, oh, people like Trump. You know?
right,
But
right.
to think that we're having arguments about health issues, right? We can't come to a consensus. Humans have been around long enough to understand
Pre-pandemic, we were arguing about if a dress was blue or black.
if a dress was blue or black,
Was it
if-
black? No, it was blue
it was
or
whatever the
gold.
fuck
It was
color it
something
was,
like that. You
whether
know what
or
I'm
not,
talking
how
about.
many fucking pronouns are in your name. Now it's fucking normal.
Yeah.
It's just become fucking normal to have
No,
pronouns.
it really.
I didn't
it
realize
is.
how quickly
It's-
it became
it's-
normal. I don't
It's
understand.
interesting.
It's interesting as hell. Like, you know, when you grab a fish from room temperature water and you throw it in some cold ass water, is that safe? Because I don't think so. Because that's exactly what I think is happening. Like, if we could observe the human biology in its natural habitat, because we can observe, think about it, how many times we walk down the street and we observe this pathology that just seems odd. Like, people wearing masks outside, they're homeless people wearing masks. Like, they seem safer because they're wearing a mask. If you see
Right.
somebody without a mask, it's almost odd to think that, oh, maybe they're not.
Yeah, like
Like, your assumptions about them immediately come
Right.
to mind. Like, it's so weird. Like, the
and
pathology, the
what's
behavior
the
of
deal?
people.
What's the deal with like when you go into a tight space with people and one person doesn't want to wear a mask and everybody else is wearing
You see
a mask?
that?
What's the
Before it
deal
was
with
different.
The person that like is so weirded out or that they're like shamed because they're not wearing a mask?
Shamed
Like
about-
if they're vaccinated and shit, well, like I'm not saying that you have to wear a mask or you don't have to wear a mask, but I'm saying like it's my fucking choice. Like why are you looking at me crazy like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's weird.
No, you're not wrong, because I tell you about this all the time, and like you always, I love that you push back on it a little bit, because it's like our health should be prioritized. I think we should be leaning into understanding more about how we sleep, our sleeping habits, our diet, our gut biome. Like these are things that we are still figuring out using models, right? The scientific models.
I think the gut biome is the biggest evidence of of our body is just made different type of thing. Like it's so
think of
weird how all these organs create who we are.
If
So
you could
fucking
speak
weird.
to your biome, what do you think it would tell you?
It would tell me to stop eating so much cheese. I really like cheese.
How would it tell you to do that?
By giving me diarrhea type of thing. But I mean, that's essentially what it does.
Check it. No, you know what?
It does that, or it makes
sends
you
us signals,
depressed in a sense. You know, like
Right.
the what you put into your body is what you're giving out.
Your
essentially.
gut biome is affected by the food you put in, and it's so fascinating because we barely know enough about it. And you'll see articles about, is the gut like what it's all about, like astronomy. And it's like, no fucking shit. I think we've just understood something for so long that like when we see obesity, we think it's normal because we're just like, he just eats a lot of junk food. Is that what we assume it is?
Yeah, usually.
Like we assume if someone's
desserts,
obese, like sugar,
they have a.
that's the assumption, right?
Yeah.
What about their actual like health risks that they put on themselves, or maybe they were born with, like COVID morbidities, where like they just have a trouble with their weight. Maybe they have a thyroid problem. Maybe it's a matter of like a mental health issue. Maybe they just don't have a way to control their eating. Those kinds of things are not being talked about enough. We constantly talk about other things. We're constantly being distracted. Like, I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's a matter of fact. Like, you don't know what the infrastructure bill is. You don't even know half the things in there. I barely know enough to tell you that you don't know enough. Because if I barely know enough, what makes you think you will know enough? Like, you'll Google it, you'll hear it on NBC, CBS, Good Morning America, whatever the fuck you listen to on the way to work or on the way out of the door.
If you listen
to anything.
Yeah.
I find it kind of disturbing that, like, when I am talking to friends and family about something serious and I hear them say things that they heard.
This is also kind of a cultural thing as well. You know,
the culture war too.
Like we're when you're learning how to cook in certain cultures, right? You're told you need to put this much spice in, and you need all these seasonings and whatnot. But what it really does, unfortunately, over time, is it raises your cholesterol. Like, it really does fuck with your body.
Okay.
The more you put these things into it.
There's some cultural diets where, you know, there might be something missing in there. Where you can supplement something. Yeah. One of my biggest concerns in Mexico is the fact that Coca-Cola is the main source of, they use up the main source of fresh water over there. There's not enough fresh water in most places. A lot of it is bottled. Like, people will grab a Coca-Cola before they grab a bottled water, and they'll grab a beer before they grab a bottled water. And I think this is simply because the case is that back then, fresh water was not as easy to come by.
Yeah, definitely.
And making alcohol was better because alcohol basically cleaned itself, right? It was fermented and in a way that it wouldn't get you sick.
And it gets you fucked up. It's a good time.
True, it would get you fucked up, and it was much easier. It was easier to drink alcohol than it was to drink fresh water. So here's the thing: over there, people grab a bottle of Coca-Cola, and it's like, it's a fucking bottle of water to them, and it bothers me because there's so much sugar in there, and diabetes is rampant.
Also, Mexican Coke has the most sugars of all of their Coke lines.
There are warning labels on these bottles and snacks and stuff. Like, you want to think about food justice. Like, I remember when I was friends with, they're so cool. Shout out to them. They introduced me to like food justice, like social food justice. The idea that like everybody should have access to fresh produce and like certain types of diets in inner cities.
Right.
And like,
I wish that was the case, but
shout out
unless
to
you're
Michigan.
A farmer, like,
okay, so
that is just not the case.
Okay.
You either have to be a farmer, or you have to be paying top-notch dollar, and you have to be able to have an income
if you can just
be able to do that.
We can't go back.
Yeah.
We can't go back, right? We can't go back to hunting and gathering. We can't just You're not just
Yeah.
we're not just gonna give up microwaves, stovetops, cooking in the modern world,
Right.
or surviving in the modern world. We're not just gonna give that up because we have to learn to adapt to this. Like I said earlier, what the fuck happens when you put a goldfish that's in room temperature water and toss it in a fucking a bowl of really cold water? It may adapt or it might die. And if it adapts, it's going to have a really stressful time, right? Because it's a natural environment.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that we're going through this sort of weird enlightenment period where there's tons of like people who are resigning from their jobs, from their current 9 to 5, because maybe their mental health or their physical health is in jeopardy, and they've not just started to realize that like wages have been stagnant. Our government is not doing enough to really address the issues where we can't get fresh water in the States.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about diabetes in Mexico because Coca-Cola drinks up all the fresh water over there. They literally like have control over those sources. So
I mean, there's a lot to worry about when it comes to. I was going to say, why don't we take the stick out and throw it over the top and let the natural lighting come in here? You know what I mean? Like, but I was going to say that there's so many processed foods and so many processed drinks, and it's become such a normality to us that just, I'm going to have this because it's convenient, because it's very convenient. Like what you would get, or I wouldn't say. Actually, I'd say you probably get more water bang for your buck, but you don't think about that when you're at the store. You're like, oh, if I'm having food, I'd want to have a carbonated drink with it or a soda. Something. You know what I mean?
I never thought about it like this.
I mean, think about it.
Look at the cereal section.
Not just that, but think about how every time that, or not every time, but the majority of the time that before we record, we go to the store and grab a coffee or something. You know what I mean? It's just convenient, and you feel like it's going to give you a boost of energy because it does. It messes with your brain waves, but it shouldn't be that way. That it's so easy. You know, there is something about making fresh coffee at your home and
doing
the cream yourself. And
the
that
act
type
of doing
thing.
of doing things yourself, right? I think like we're adapting to this new way of living where we have convenience everywhere, right? Like, can you? Cool. And we're
Technical
back.
difficulties.
Cool.
Sorry about
All right, sorry. We're just picking up from some technical difficulties. Anyways, what were we saying right before we took a break?
We were just talking about processed food and.
Processed food, our health and convenience and shit like that. Yes,
the gut biome in general.
You should really take
Look
the time
into it if you don't.
and if you're fat, lose some weight.
Because the other thing too, right, is that when we're young and you're processing all this food, you're not thinking about it. But as you get older, it comes little by little. But you'll end up constipated. You end up with heart problems because of this shit.
With what? With what kind of problems?
Heart problems.
Yeah, cardiovascular problems and shit. Yeah, I think about it all the time. I'm scared of dying young from some bullshit like COVID. I'm not saying COVID is bullshit. I'm saying COVID is real. What I'm saying, like, go get vaccinated. Do your thing. Like,
are you vaxxed?
I am not.
So how are you gonna tell people to see that?
I believe that you should be allowed to be. You should. I encourage people to go get vaxxed. But I also believe that it is a choice. And it is one that I think, like, as a responsible adult, you have every right to make. Another example is, like, if you're responsible enough to go and buy alcohol,
right,
you should be responsible enough to know not to drink yourself to death, because it's totally possible to do that, right? You could go to the CVS and kill yourself, right?
You can.
You could OD on OTC, right, over the counter medication. It would suck, but you could. It's one of those things. It's like if you with
allergies, man.
With responsibility, I think, and some sort of level of education, I think you should be able to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, I think you should be able to do certain drugs if the education was there. For example, if they taught us from an early age that heroin, cocaine, you know, were drugs you could use recreationally, right?
Yeah.
See, you see what I'm saying? Like your stigma about using those drugs because because all you've ever known is that people who use cocaine and heroin, they're probably not doing very well in life, or they look like.
Let me ask you this: have you used either of those drugs?
I think I've tried cocaine before.
Okay.
I say I think because I have no idea.
Well,
I don't know what real cocaine.
I feel like you would know if you've done it.
Look, okay.
Here's the thing, right?
Okay, well, what was your question? You're asking me, and then what?
Yeah. So there is a possibility that just doing one of these things one time can, hurt your brain. It can.
Okay, so here's the solution to that.
Right. Let me hear it.
The solution is that if we knew, like the way they regulate marijuana, if they regulated cocaine in that same manner, then yeah, I think it would be more appropriate to try it. Like, because we've seen alcohol destroy lives, just absolutely wreck lives, and we don't.
Any addiction in general can wreck your life.
But just to show you, like, because alcohol is super legal.
Right.
But like.
So is playing video games.
Right, but I think the detrimental effects of alcohol versus video games versus a video game addiction are two very different things, or very like diametrically opposed in the sense that drinking alcohol can kill you a lot faster than playing video games.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd agree with that.
So here's the thing, like, if we knew how cocaine was made, or we saw the process, and we were taught that look, certain drugs can be used recreationally if used properly. Like, abusing anything is bad. Like, I'm just familiar with cocaine being a stimulant, a methamphetamine, right? I don't know if that's the proper way to say it. It doesn't seem like a good idea to take it right before bed, right? Because you're going to go to sleep. You don't want to stay up all night. Like a cup of coffee, you normally don't want to drink a cup of coffee or a shot of espresso, right before bed. You could drink 10 shots of espresso and give yourself a heart attack, enough to kill yourself. So
plus you get some really mean nightmares if you did that.
Right, and I'm telling you this because, again, it's all about the education you've had about certain drugs. Like, you've seen people drink coffee normally, so it's normal for you to go to a Starbucks and indulge in the same drug everybody else is. It's cool for you to do caffeine at work, right? It's not cool for you to do heroin at work or do cocaine because it's genuinely illegal. But you can go into the bathroom and like shoot up and take a key.
I mean, you definitely can.
So that's just it. Like, with responsibility and education, I know people disagree with me in regards to, like, not everything should be legal because some things are just way too dangerous. And, I don't disagree with you on.
You're just more for the freedom of choice, is what you're saying.
With the choice, there needs to be education behind it. People need to be educated on these drugs, how they work, what they do, their side effects, because then we never see drug addicts in a good light. We always see them as like, fuck, like, what drove you to do this drug, this substance, right?
So you believe because they weren't educated that, their life became a shamble, essentially.
I think that's part of it, and same thing with sexual education. I think sexual education is super important because it can help your biological standing, right? Because you'll understand yourself better about, what as a young person you could be thinking about when it comes to having an active sex life. Like, women have birth control, which for them is amazing because then it gives them time to plan and to not just, it gives them time to plan, right? Because they don't just have to start a life that they didn't want to start. And
birth control doesn't always work as well, though.
Regardless, whether it works, it's not, obviously nothing is 100%, but it still gives them power in the sense that, like, they now have more freedom to choose when to start their lives. When it comes to starting a family, I should say, not a life, but when it comes to starting a family, because they can be with someone, not get pregnant, still have an active sex life, not get pregnant, and choose to start later. Which is incredible because it wasn't like this.
The change in hormones can also affect their way of.
I'm
getting
not too
pregnant
familiar.
as well.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that, but I'm sure those are one of the side effects of.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
There's a bunch. You know, you really have to
Yeah.
appreciate a woman, your woman, that is taking birth control for you, because they go through a shit ton, man. They
I don't think she
really
should be
do.
taking it for you. I think.
No, but I mean, she's probably more so taking it for herself. But as a man, when you're, able to.
I mean, yes,
finish-
obviously,
as a man, when you're able to finish
obviously, we
inside,
love it. You know, what are you
feel
gonna
like-
do? You know,
You feel like she's
It
doing
is-
it for me.
it
type of
is-
thing.
yeah,
And at the end of
I'd
the
hate
day,
to think of
you
it like that.
should just appreciate the fact that you're able to have that.
say it. Just say it, bro. What the fuck?
No, like,
you're
you're
like an
able-
adult.
you're
You
able
just
to
just
just-
come inside her. Yes.
No, not like
you
that.
just want to
But
bust.
see, I'm not talking
It
like
fucking.
that.
It does feel great to bust
It
in there.
does, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just in general. Like, you don't have to worry about having like a little pre-cum get her pregnant type of thing. You know what I
See,
mean?
and that's no. Well, look here. That's how I think, but I'm trying to change my way of thinking. Maybe it's just hypocritical because it's like you're not wrong. It's like it's great, but what's really going on is that we're preventing ourselves from starting a family, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's what's really going on. We're trying to have recreational sex and not get pregnant.
Right.
Right. But for her, it's a different decision, right? It's a big old different thing because like she's not doing it for you. She's doing it to make sure she doesn't start a family when she doesn't want one, right? Well, you know what the fuck do I know about women who do take it? Because like I'm not the
You're
guy.
not a woman who takes it.
Yeah, right. I'm not one guy. I'm one person. But my own experience is like, yeah, that's the idea. It's like you don't want to start a family right away, so you're using it to protect yourself, and then there's this freedom.
And for the sex to be more pleasurable.
I don't know about it being more pleasurable because it's one thing. Because there are dudes. I mean, there are women who will still use a condom, even if they're on birth control.
Yeah. Okay. In minority cases, yeah, I'd agree.
I don't know. I'm not asking people whether or not they use a condom every time they have sex on birth
Most
control.
people do not.
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
I'm not
You don't
asking
have
people.
sex. How you gonna tell me?
Well, you're telling me you have sex without a condom, but that's fine because that's anecdotal. But if
but even if you are planning to have sex without a condom beforehand, always first and foremost, one, make sure that even if your lady tells you like, oh, I'm on the pill or whatever, never believe that. Honestly, never believe that.
okay, so now
And then two-
that just means you don't trust her.
No, it's not even that.
Well, then why are you saying don't believe her?
Because you have to see her physically take it in order for you to have an okay conscience with it, right? And
Okay,
then
see, but
two-
now you're attributing her taking birth control to sex like being a thing where if she's not on birth control, it's not going to be the
So-
same.
No. I'm saying more of that you could be manipulated into having a child because a woman said she's on the pill and she wasn't.
That's
all I'm
fucked up.
saying.
That's
And
different
and this
because
is
you're
what
taking
I'm
a
saying.
risk.
No, yeah, but every guy does it, is what I'm saying.
Look, yes.
So you would want to see a woman do that, right? That's the second thing. The first thing, first and foremost, is make sure that you are both tested and you've seen the results. That's your first and foremost.
That's just a healthy.
Because one night of fun is not worth your whole life of dealing with some bullshit. It's just not. And
Yeah.
I've told every
You say that a lot.
person-
You say that a lot
I've told
about being
every
about
person.
sexual education, and I know you're the most sexually active of all my friends.
I don't know about that.
I think you are because I barely have any friends, right? So
Fair enough.
you being one of them, I'm sure. Besides one of the other ones,
Right.
regardless, look, I do. That's important. The sex ed is important. Like if you and your partner are gonna be doing it for a long time, yeah. She's like, yo, I want to make sure we don't get pregnant. Birth control is my decision.
Mm-hmm.
I sound like such a simp, but
Make you sound like a simp.
because like I'm assuming she's taking it because that's what it is. That I'm assuming she's taking it because she's in a relationship with a guy that she really likes, but doesn't want to start a family right away.
Right.
So she's taking it because of that.
Right.
That's just how I think. That's what I think. I'm assuming. I don't really know their own situation or circumstances under which and why they do it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, good for them. Because as dudes, now as I get older, I realize maybe I should be more just careful. It's super cool to just meet women and like just talk to them.
Mm.
And then I hate thinking about like being 40 and still dating, Like I kind of want to be dating somebody, but nothing ever works out the way you want it to.
All right. That's very true.
So and I guess I'm just aiming at something noble so that I don't end up being 40 trying to figure out who I want to be with and still deciding, oh, I don't want to have children yet. It's like, what the fuck?
I mean, I think
I could be wrong though.
I think if you think about it, like I'm going to be
Yeah.
40 and not know where I am as far as my romantic relationship goes, like, first off, you don't know what you're going to be like in 15 years.
I just think it's important
You
that
have no idea what you're going to be like. And you just have to let time flow, man.
I want.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not, it's not.
There are some things that do happen and some things that do not. There are some things you cannot wait around for, and there are some things.
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
mean, you're in the prime of your life, the same way I am.
You know what? I think
At this current moment, I'm in a happy relationship and I enjoy my relationship, but you're still in the prime of your life, and to say that, this is your end all of be all is stupid to me.
yeah,
There is no way to say that, that you're going to meet someone and it's going to be so perfect. Like,
no,
it's not.
It won't be
It's not
perfect.
necessarily going to be like that.
I get scared.
A relationship is a thing you work on.
Yeah, it is something you
100%,
work on.
but
Yeah.
also at the same time, I think one of the biggest problems, especially adults tell me this, like big adults, maybe in their 50s, they always tell me that, enjoy your life, really. Not men going around, go out and sleep with a bunch of women. No, but enjoy your life. Have different experiences with different women. Find out what you really are looking for, what you enjoy, type of thing. And if it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen, it'll happen the way it's supposed to happen. You might be in love one day, and the next day you're slowly but gradually falling out of it. You know what I mean?
Something I see in a lot of those people, when they tell us things like that, I think immediately it's like, okay, I understand now that you're telling me to do things that you didn't get a chance to do,
right?
Or you're telling me, hey, I got my chance to do all these things. Normally, when they say things like that, their answer comes out to be like, okay, you know what, you want to make sure you go to school, you want to finish, and then the people who tell you like, hey, maybe you want to enjoy your life. Don't immediately jump into something that you're now willing to like commit to.
Right.
Normally they're talking about relationships.
Right.
Because from their own experience, they find themselves having been with somebody from a young age and then spent their whole young adulthood life.
Yeah. And
having made it
the scarier part.
But you know what pisses me off about that? And it's
Yeah.
not their fault. It's that society has made it has kind of made you feel like if you haven't been with more than one person or more than a couple people, like you're not you're not cool or something. You're not part of like the club of people who like got to date in their young lives. I just saw this show. There's a fucking ads for that show, the Mindy Kaling one, the sex life of college girls. That goes to show you how many young men are not having sex or are not dating or not doing enough. Mindy Kaling is making a show about college sex life of girls. It's like, we know what it's like.
We don't, though.
Well, we do.
We don't. I didn't go to a 4-year university. Did you?
I went to one.
You got admitted into a 4-year university?
No, I said I went to one.
Okay.
Well,
no,
look.
I mean, look. Don't get me wrong. I've been to frat parties and I've had some great nights.
No, it's because these girls.
But when I'm saying, right, there's a theory.
What theory?
I can't remember the name of it at this current moment. But the theory goes that throughout your young adult life, you will date 4 women. One will be super fucking hot.
Yeah, that's true.
She will be.
I've heard this theory. Go.
You know what I mean?
The finest.
The finest.
The highest number you'll get. Yeah, the highest number you'll reach.
The one where you look at it and you're like, how the fuck did I pull you?
Yeah, the bag. Yeah.
Right. The second one, there's no number.
You don't have to rank them in order. Just pick them.
Yeah, there's no ranking to it. But this, the next person would be super quirky. Is more towards your personality, right? But this is one.
Continue. What's the next one? What's the next two?
I can't remember. Relax.
The ugly one? The grenade?
Ugly one? Yeah, sure.
And then the gay one. I don't know. Look, I see what you're saying.
But, right, is that
the rich one, you could just make anything up.
You are consistently changing as a person. So to say that that you met this one person, this is your entire life, right? Like, don't get me wrong, there's something very beautiful about that. But it's not realistic. And that is why couples get divorced. Because it's not realistic.
I disagree.
That's fine.
Because I'm a
The
romantic.
stats say different.
Fuck the
The
stats.
full
Fuck the meta.
Stats
Fuck the
say
meta.
very different. It's not realistic, man. The person that you are right now is not going to be the same person you are
Look,
in 4 years.
You're not wrong. It's best to compare yourself to who you were and not to someone else, because if you compare yourself to someone else, you're gonna just kill yourself. You want to kill. You want to compare yourself to someone who you were before, to who you were before.
Yes.
Look, you can be with somebody and like make it work, but it's not gonna be easy, because if you want to be with them forever, you're right. People change. People go from being, one way to being another in 10 years.
You know what the other thing that sucks about that shit is? Like, what if you do everything in your power to make it work? Everything in your power. And that person just says, I'm good. I don't want to do it anymore.
I'm scared.
Like, you're going to be so
Because no
crushed,
amount-
because that is just like, that's tough. Especially because you're like, no, like, I've done everything. This was supposed to work out. Like, you're not, that's when men go off and go fucking nuts type of shit, because they can't believe that if they did everything, because not, every guy's like, oh, I did everything, but some people engage in infidelity and they don't pay their women
Any attention?
any attention. You know what I mean? Like, you're not doing everything in your power. Don't fucking say you are if that's the case, right? But if you really, really like did everything in your power to keep it together, you went above and beyond and you tried to be everything for her, and it just doesn't work out, you know how angry you are? Like, that shit
It's because it's because you were blinded. No, because the motherfucker was blinded by love,
by the infatuation.
by the infatuation. But he did everything to keep her, but he didn't do everything. I was gonna think of something clever, but I couldn't fucking think of anything clever.
Right, he did everything to keep her, but she changed. Is my point.
Yeah, and he didn't keep up with her change.
And I always say this, that a woman walks away mentally before she walks away physically.
True.
And you will see it.
Women will take shit with them so far to the grave, right? That they don't give a fuck about like what they don't give a fuck about your feelings.
No, they'll live on their conscience.
Yeah.
They'll live on their conscience unless it blows up on them.
For dudes, it's different.
If
like
it blows up on them, then they'll sit back and they'll be like, maybe I wasn't a great person at that moment.
For dudes, will literally fight each other to the death, and then apologize right before killing each other. Right? Look, I look forward. I was telling him, I'll tell the story, the coffee shop girl.
Right.
I've been asking God for a girlfriend, and God sends me one, right?
Love it. Okay, so let me ask you this, right? Because right away you label her as a girlfriend, but what if you just went on a date and it didn't work out the way you thought it would?
Then that too. I keep telling myself, because I am a bit of a romantic, and I think that's just me. But
where's my coffee?
It's right there.
Oh.
If I live to be the ripe old age of 70 or 80, I don't want, and like, you probably think it's fucking stupid. You're just like, I live in the now. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Cool. It's fine. You're probably much older than me, and it doesn't really matter to you. But I don't want to be 70 or 80, look back and think to myself, because I am self-aware about this. So it's like, I don't want to look back and think to myself, fuck, why didn't I just try? Why didn't I just do it? Like we're doing what we're doing now. Like we were doing this. I don't want to be fucking 80 and been like, oh, I could have done the fucking podcast. I had all this to do that. We could have done this and that. You ever think back and you're like, damn, I could have been done that. Or I could have done that. Or that's where I could have been if I had been done that. I don't want to be 80 and been like, fuck.
I did this. I did that.
Yeah.
I did this. I did that.
Yeah,
I might have failed at this.
I failed.
Really enjoyed it.
And I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad I reached out. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I finally.
So why didn't you ask, bro?
Okay, so check it.
Now it's going to be when you're 80, you're going to think about it. You're like, damn, what if that coffee shop girl was the one?
What if she was the one? Yeah. So check it. I'm fucking in the shop. I asked for this thing called a Chugachino. Shout out to the restaurant C&M. Really fucking good food, comfort food.
Coffee commiserate?
No, it's it's chicken and monkey. That's what it's called.
You
Chicken.
fucking with me?
No.
Interesting.
Shout out to them.
You're such a hipster. You would go to some place like that.
You know what? Let me tell you something. I'm fucking picky when it comes to brunch food. This place has the best brunch food in the area. I fuck you not. Here, I go to the shop. I order my fucking food. I order my drink. While they're prepping it, this chick walks in. Beautiful ass, by the way. Beautiful. Just, I don't know why. Like, I didn't ask her out. Now that I think about it, I didn't. I
You gotta
went.
go find her, man.
Nah, it's cool. It's like.
What was her name? I'll find her.
I
for
know
you.
her name. I'll
I'll
leave you
find her
because
for
I
you.
heard
Yeah,
the,
don't say it
I heard the
out loud.
barista call it out.
You know what I mean? But
I fucking sit down. This is how you know God was sending me to her because she's the one who struck up a conversation with me.
oof.
She asked me, she's like, "Is that what I think it is?" And I'm like, "It is what you think it is." And we just started chopping it up, and it didn't occur to me until she got her drink that she was trying to get me to ask her out.
This is gonna be the clip that goes viral, and then she's gonna contact you.
Nah, she had.
Watch.
Here's the thing.
Watch.
Here's the reason I hesitated. Right? It's because she had really short hair, and a blue highlight
That's hot.
in the comb over. I was like, oh, blue
What was
hair.
her skin tone?
She was a dark skinned Latina.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work. Actually, that's a really hard color to pull off.
Just look, we're just.
There's a porn star
She
with
was.
blue hair.
I don't know which one. I don't know which one you're talking about.
She's a white girl though. That's my point.
Nah. Oh, okay. Nah, I just didn't ask her out because she's like, as she's leaving, I'm like, oh, I should ask her. I'm like, oh, I should ask her for her number. Like, oh, we grab coffee sometime, but I didn't. And it's like that story. It's like that guy falls off the boat. He's drowning in the ocean, and he's praying to God. He's like, hey, can you please rescue me? Please rescue me. A boat shows up. He's like, hey, man, do you need some help? Guy's like, no, I'm waiting for God to help me out. The dude ends up dying after a while, and then the guy asks God, he's like, God, why didn't you save me? He's like, bro, I sent a boat for you and you didn't get on it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. The moral of the story is sometimes you can't,
You have to take advantage of your opportunities. That's the moral.
because
of the
this is
story.
probably like my third or fourth or fifth time or sixth time where I've been in a situation where, those situations where, I don't know, you never told me how you asked your girl out, but like a lot of the times it's
I
just.
did it through the DMs. I mean, it was.
I'm
it
not
was still
good.
The pandemic, so yeah.
I'm
I
not
did
good
it
with-
through the DMs.
I'm not good with online flirting. I'm good with in-person flirting.
I'm not either. I could go back and look at it, but I think I might have just said like, hey, we were talking about Attack on Titan. She said never saw it, and I was like, come over, we'll watch it. And then 7 hours of watching anime together, I just kind of knew that I was super into this chick.
Cool.
And like usually when girls leave my presence,
Oof.
no disrespect to you
Oof.
ladies if you're watching, but
Oof.
like I'm sure that you know how I am if you've been in my presence, and when you
Don't
leave,
burn yourself out now,
I'm not burning shit out. I usually just don't care after that. Like that's kind of the reality is where I'm like, I enjoyed our time together. It was nice, but I don't really care. Like I always ask, did you get home safely? Because I do care about that. Because that's on my conscience always. But I don't care for a conversation after unless I'm really into you.
I love that.
And I don't feel like it's messed up because I feel like I'm kind of
Leading
one of the
them on,
biggest
yeah.
culprits of ghosting. Because I don't think of it like ghosting. I'm just not that interested in you.
There's no
tough shit.
Ghosting.
But why do I have to tell you, hey, sorry, I'm just not that interested in you? Because I believe when you're ghosting someone, it means you've seen them like multiple times consistently, and then you just peace out. Like you couldn't say, I'm not feeling this anymore. That makes sense to me. But if I see you one time and I don't fucking talk to you again, I didn't ghost you. Don't claim I ghosted you.
Ghosting is hilarious because
Weird as fuck.
people didn't ghost people back then. You just didn't hear from them.
That's my point. You just didn't hear from me again. Like why? Like I'm not gonna say why are you mad, but it's just that's normal. You meet people you meet people every day, right? You have a conversation, or you should have a conversation with someone every day. You should.
I hate when people. I used to do this all the time, like a
You
fucking,
should have a conversation
like a
with
fucking
random
philanthropist.
every day.
No, stop talking to people. Read a book. I need to read more books. I'll be honest with you. I don't read a fucking enough.
Reading a book is great, but actually sitting down and socializing with people is what makes our brain
You think it's
stimulate so well. I promise you it does.
I was just thinking about just like
It's so much serotonin release when you
Like,
can
is
have a
it-
conversation with someone and you actually enjoy their presence.
like I don't think I could masturbate to
What?
a porn book. You know what I mean? Like I can't read porn. Like imagine having to read
Oh,
porn.
you mean like back in the day when they used to beat off the magazines?
I wonder how a
I mean,
blind person does it. How Daredevil does it? He probably just reads the braille, like the porn. Oh, but Daredevil can kind of see actually, so it doesn't count. I don't know why I was thinking about that because we were talking. What the fuck we were talking about? Oh yeah, the girls and stuff. Like the.
This is what's wrong with your mind, bro. This is why you need to follow NoFap so you don't like think about porn so often.
I'm try. You know what? I want to try and take a break from it. See how long I can go without watching porn.
I went when I took my break. I went. I mean, I don't really.
I want to take a
porn
smoke
anymore
break
now that I
too,
have a
but
girlfriend.
I think it's unnecessary.
But when I took a break, I went about two months and 2 weeks, and like everything just changed in my life. Like I didn't feel so anxious when I was out after that.
Like you didn't feel
know?
like you needed to go fuck someone.
Yeah, like I didn't look at every girl and I was like, damn, like she looks like a good lay type of thing, Like I could actually have a conversation with someone and I wasn't thinking about fucking them the entire time.
That sucks for
if
me,
you've had
dude.
a conversation with me in person, you're a woman, and you may have felt that presence from me. I'm sorry, because
He's like, I felt that presence. Yeah, women
yeah,
can.
I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah, 'cause,
your
like-
aura does show a lot, man. When you have bad intentions, people can tell. You can tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
You can tell.
Yeah, I don't even I don't even know anymore because like, oh yeah, that's what we were talking about. Because like, yeah, women approach like those spontaneous moments where
Right.
you and her are vibing,
Yeah.
and if you don't either knock it out of the park, you're gonna strike out, right? Like you either ask her now, or it's never gonna happen again.
Yeah, sometimes.
That's happened to me too many times.
I think as an adult, it can definitely happen. It does happen more often than not because you pass by someone once. And I'm talking more like in a public environment place, and if you're super into them, then you should talk to them because that is the moment that you have. Because after that, you may never see them again. If you get lucky, because sometimes you do get lucky, right? Like sometimes you end up going to the same place or you see that person out again, and then you're like, oh shit. But you can't approach them like, hey, I thought I saw you the other day. Da, da, da. Like that's just kind of fucking weird. So, but on your mind, that's where you're thinking, you're like, damn, that is the same person.
I play it
Like,
cool
what
now.
are the odds of that?
I play it real cool now.
Yeah.
I play it real cool. Yeah, I try not to like. I play it too cool sometimes that I forget how to flirt. Because sometimes when I'm in the presence of a girl that is just fine, I don't know what the fuck to do. And it sucks.
No, I mean, you're what do they call it? Cat gets your tongue. Your
Yeah.
cat will definitely get your tongue.
Yeah, and I'm like,
If you're
yeah, her cat will definitely
super-
get my tongue.
If you're super into someone and you are like me, right? Like you're a hopeless romantic, so you start to kind of envision like what you
All
would
the
be
dumb
with that
shit.
person
Yeah.
while you're talking to them, and then you lose track of the conversation.
yeah.
The best thing to do, literally, and I've
Tell me what you do.
learned this from
What do you
from
do,
a
yeah?
friend is literally just act like a friend, and then from time to time touch them. You just to
Oh,
show them
yeah,
you're
yeah,
so
yeah.
interested. That's literally all you have to do.
Yeah, I'm actually
And-
getting better. So
And it's so fucking simple after that. Like you're just like, oh,
the
okay.
the texting thing I'm getting better at.
Right.
The reciprocal thing, like I'm just kind of figuring out communicating like that. I sound like a fucking alien trying to figure out how to communicate or flirt through text.
This is actually super interesting because the other day I was having a conversation with someone at my job. It was one of the clients, and he was asking me about my life and how long I've been working there and that type of thing, right? And I realized how bad of a listener I am because I keep shifting the conversation towards me. And when I tell you this guy made me realize how bad of a listener I was, he was having a cigarette. He didn't even finish his cigarette. He literally put it out, was like, all right, man, I'll see you. Like, he was just like, I don't want to have a conversation about you. And I don't know why, but it clicked to me so heavy. And I was like, damn, maybe I'm only a good texter because of the fact that when I'm texting someone, I don't talk about myself. Like, I listen to what they're saying, and I actually reply to what they're saying. And I keep that conversation going with what they want to talk about.
Yeah.
Not what I want to talk about. When I'm in person, I'm more of like, oh yeah, I've done that.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've noticed it.
It doesn't bother me.
Something going forward, it's something I'm going to work on.
It doesn't bother me because, like, I notice it all the time. And when you say that, I'll just tune out. I'll just be like, oh, he's talking about himself.
Yeah, but
Just
that's
kidding.
my point, is it shouldn't get to that.
No, I was
point.
joking. It's just that maybe you're just not very interesting, Nick, because
That's true as well.
think about it. Like, the cool things that I used to think were cool is like traveling as a young person.
Yeah.
I don't even want to travel because the whole world seems fucked. Not in a fucking cynical way. It just seems like things are not going to go back to normal. People are looking over their shoulder. You feel like there's secret police everywhere. You feel like you say the wrong thing to someone and they're going to stab you.
Well, I feel like that's
or hold you up.
I feel like that's a United States effect. I don't think it's
honestly. I feel
like
so
that
safe
in
these
places.
within these borders compared to anywhere else. The way things are, like I want to go to I want us to go to Japan. I want us to go to this.
Yeah, but my point is that when we go to Japan or whatever, right? Like, we're going to be so welcomed because the cultures are completely different. Completely different. Like here, people like have.
You have
weird
to
intentions.
no.
Over there, it's very genuine.
No, you'd be to be honest with you, you'd be surprised how nice people are in the middle of the country. Like
no, I'm not surprised at all.
Like dude,
Why
there's
would
so
I be
many.
surprised by that?
Well,
I'm telling you, outside of Los Angeles is
different.
Outside of California,
Yeah.
not Los Angeles.
No, California,
in
yeah.
general. Yeah,
People
it's
are
very
different, yeah,
different.
real different. Like the
California
hospitality,
sucks, dude.
yeah, it sucks. The people suck because people from
people
outside
suck.
come and they come all over it, and it just you don't want to touch something that's not your
transplants are usually super kind people. Like
Yeah.
the people who grow up in California and believe that like their shit doesn't stink and that
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Because we live in an area, we live in the Hollywood.
like the people that believe that their life is a movie.
My
which
life is a movie.
Once upon a time was me for sure, and I had to learn. You know, the world doesn't revolve around you.
My life is based on blood in, blood out.
But some people do believe the world revolves around them, and those people just haven't touched in reality yet.
They need to go
And
outside
that's
and touch
okay,
grass.
you know, I mean, they'll get there. They'll have to learn. It's something we all do.
I'm concerned that like people are so distracted about like things going on around the country and like that their own behavior, you know, has changed so much, you know.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like I don't like arguing with my friends and family about vaccines, about booster shots, about my health, about our health.
There's nothing to argue. Get a vaccine. I did.
What did
This sounds like why do people argue, right? People argue because they can't find a consensus on a fucking conversation. And to me, that just means that you're just immature. Like, if you're not willing to even try to understand where I'm coming from, no.
Bro,
no.
President-
Be quiet. You don't know what you're talking. All right, bet. I cut conversations like that now. Like, when I'm having little arguments with my friends about, like, stupid sports statistics or whatever, I literally just say, okay, bet, and I go quiet. Like, I'm not going to argue with you about something I know I'm right
but that's
about.
different though, because
Hear
when
me
you start arguing about things like that, you have to pull out. We live in an era where like pulling your phone out
Right.
can easily like. Okay, it's one thing to
Yeah.
argue about like stats
Right.
that are like on paper,
Right.
and it's another to start arguing about individual talent.
Right.
I can understand that if you just want to shut down a conversation regarding something. Like if it's an opinion, like I can understand like, oh, you're trying to tell me my opinion about this person's athletic ability. We're talking about sports, right? So
Yeah.
because if it's other things like politics, it would be different. But in sports in general, like you can pull your phone out and be like, yeah, this player has X amount of stats versus your player who has X amount of stats, but your player just happens to be a better baller than my player in terms of whatever X factor. So yeah, for sure, like those kinds of arguments can be quickly shut down.
My thing is, I agree with you, but my other thing is like, Just show me action. I'm tired of words. And if you're just going to keep that, and you have the same argument.
But what is
over and
actions though?
over,
Well, like, how do you prove that? What are you talking
like
about?
if someone's teasing you, right? and
About?
you're talking about like playing a sport, and
Sure.
they're like, oh, like let's say I was defending in soccer, and they're like, oh, I'll get past you, and you'd be like, all right, bet. You know,
I mean,
and
yeah.
they're like, no, like you can't guard me. Like they keep edging you on, and it's like, what do you get out of that?
Okay, so yeah, sure.
never understood
Having
that.
a competitive mindset.
I get it, it's competitive, but when someone is not dishing back with you, what do you like? You already won the conversation, quote unquote. If it's competitive,
I
right?
feel you.
Like that's what
Yeah,
competition
it's like a little
is,
trash
is
talk.
when
Yeah.
someone has completely shut down type of thing. So why are you still talking?
True, I feel that.
That's what aggravates me about
People who don't
about
drop it
people.
or change the
Yeah,
subject.
people
like
who just don't drop shit. Like you just like, oh, dude, like I already told you you're good. Like we're good.
Bro,
And they're like, no, we're not good. I'm like, what the fuck? I just told you we're good.
you know what
Like,
it is?
maybe you don't want to, accept that, but I've already accepted that.
Sometimes it's best to, like, if it's, again, it's one of those things, like if you can just pull your phone out and like and see, that's the biggest issue. Is like, how do you error correct, right? I this is a really serious topic. It's like how it's really hard to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I was wrong, you're right. Error correcting, like just say, like computers do it. Like we're not computers, but in our biological system, learning from our mistakes or understanding that we once knew something that was wrong, only to learn that it was, right or whatever, or proven right. I think it's important to be able to say, hey, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm not
But you
a
have to have
perfect
your
person.
ego intact in order to be able to do that.
I'm not too like, yeah, you can, having your ego is one thing, but like to be able to control the person you are, the idea is that you are a monster. To think that you have to be harmless, you have to be timid, like you're not allowed to be assertive or aggressive. I think that's wrong. I think that you have to learn to be aggressive, be assertive, be a monster, so that you can learn to control that monster, right? Because it's important to be able to say no, to be able to be assertive and be like, you've shown me you do that. I'm not very good at it. I'm a very agreeable person when it comes to telling people what to do or being told what to do. I'm learning how to be the monster that we all are, how to let them walk on a short leash, right? Because it's easy for you to be mean to people, right? But it's another to be like, you know what, I'm making a mistake by doing this. I'm sorry I said that. When you're aware of what you're doing, also be aware when not to apologize, because people apologize for not doing anything wrong and they do it all the time, and it's under the impression that they're the ones doing something wrong. That's not the case. Like, learn how to not apologize when you've done nothing wrong, and learn when to say you're sorry or say you've made a mistake and error correct.
Yeah.
Because maybe you've learned something that you didn't know before, like those conversations where you just shut them down and you tell somebody, you're like, yo, that's not what this is about, blah, 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 this is about that. You'd be like, okay, you know what? You're right. I made a mistake. You're, that is true. That's why when you pull your phone out and some people are like, well, nah, this is whatever. Then you kind of get the feeling that this person has closed their mind off to the idea of like being wrong, or that they just don't want to be proven wrong. And nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. Shit, it hurts. Kind of stings a little, when you're when someone's like, oh, that's not how you do it.
Right.
But you suck it up and you learn, and then you're like, oh, you know what? Thanks.
Yeah, it's kind of, like today, you're pretty, you're always like, I'm leaving, and then it's so many hours go by. But today, like you told me, you were like, hey, I'm going to be running a little late. I'm sure you were, to a certain extent, a little surprised with my response. Like, I wasn't, like, flaming up on you. Like, I said, all good. Like, thank you for letting me know. Because to me, it's just a respect thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, just let me know, and I'm fine with it.
I was.
But sometimes, sometimes, the majority of the time, respectfully, you just don't let me know.
That's what I was going to say.
That's why I'd be frustrated, because I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Just let me know, yes.
Just let me know.
And he's not wrong. Yeah, I do that because, and I'll tell you why I do it.
And that's why I said, like, thank you, and I do appreciate that today.
Yeah. And
if you can continue that, then you're
on the right track.
The right track.
Because like I want to say, where that comes from is like, think of sometimes when you want to do something and you're afraid to admit that you made a mistake, it's kind of hard to just be like, fuck, I made a mistake. It's really easy to lie and fib. You know, the smaller they are, the easier it is, I hear.
Right.
So, yeah, it's one thing to be like, yeah, you know, I made a mistake. And it's another to be like, oh, okay, whatever, you know, and just brush it off. You know, to say it and the other person acknowledge you hear it, it's like, oh, this person.
It
Yeah.
really does calm everything down because in a way, right? Like, there's so many ways that people speak about it, but some people say like, well, that's just you accepting disrespect. But I'm like, nah, dude, that's your ego, man.
Yeah.
That's
You
your
can
ego
choose to be
talking.
offended.
You can choose to be offended. Like, to me, it's going to be always down to perspective. I truly believe that to the core, and I've learned that more about myself in the last couple of months with my girlfriend because, you know, from time to time I'm like, what the fuck, right? But then I think I'm like, wait, this is my perspective though. Like, why am I angry about this, and how do I make myself relax so I don't blow up on this person because of this and this and this?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, you know, integrate that into my friendship and my family as well. And, you know, so far it seems pretty good. My mother, like, she hated my shaved head. And one thing she said, my girlfriend's name, she said, just make sure that she knows that beauty comes from the inside. And I was like, at first I got kind of offended because I was like, what the fuck? Like,
I would have laughed. I'd
your
been
mother
like,
should not say that to you. But then I thought about it and I was like, what is she actually trying to tell me? Like, is she trying to tell me that, you know, I can be aggressive at times, and maybe I showed her like stints of that personality when I was with my mom. Maybe she was trying to tell me to calm down. You know, it's always down to perspective, and perspective helps, but also that's where communication comes through perfectly.
Yeah, when
if you're not on the same wavelength, then you're miscommunicating.
Right, you might misinterpret it. You might hear it, and you think to yourself, "Oh, what, mom? Like, why are you offended? Why are you saying that? Like, I can, like, I shave my head because I want to, and it has nothing to do with you, or her, or my girlfriend. You know,
right?
Because, like you said, you know, you told me she's not a fan of it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. To me, I kind of like it because it's just.
I'm a fan of it. I enjoy it.
I
have a good shape.
It works because you have a very symmetrical face. You're a very
That is
good-looking
fun.
guy, and a lot of things work with you, right? For me, I have to try a little harder. Like in Mexico, I'm an 8. Over here, I'm a 7. You know, 6, a 7 on a regular day, a 6 on a bad day, and I'm like an 8 when I get ready.
Right.
You know, and I'm a 9 in the eyes of some, and then a 10 for women who are drunk.
By the way, that beard is looking just so good. I'm like so proud of you. You've come so far.
Thank you.
And I know like a part of it is because of me. So it's like.
Well, yeah, because like
it's nice.
You know, there's been a lot of positive feedback from people, not just you. Like it's just the people who make fun of it are the ones who don't have a beard.
Yeah, the ones who are incapable of growing it.
They'll be like, oh, you know, you look like one of the natives from Los Angeles. You know, one of the ones who live under the bridge.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to blend in. Honestly, though, like, it's a bit of a hassle. I'm going through like a phase where like just taking care of it is a bit of a nuisance. Sometimes.
Yeah, it can. No,
it is a bit of a nuisance. Like I got hair. I'm a hairy guy.
Literally hair. You know what I mean? And what do you do when you have a bad hair day? You go get a fucking haircut.
True.
It's hair.
Like I told him, I was like, I want to just, but I'm not there yet. I'm not having a mental breakdown yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's so weird, right? Because I follow a forum on Reddit. It's called Reddit/bald. Because when I was first like losing my hair and going through this transition, it was really
this
hard
transition.
It's a transition, man. It is. I was a Prince fucking Charming. Anybody who
You
knows
still
me can
are.
attest to that.
You still
I have
are.
a very good looking, you know, symmetrical.
You got the face, but you could be a model, dog.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But when I had hair, I felt like it was a part of my identity. So losing it little by little, it really did hurt. It's not something that's talked about a lot, but it's pretty detrimental to your mental health. Anyway, so I followed this forum, Reddit Bald, and one of the biggest things that everyone will tell you on that forum, on pretty much every picture of a dude who's balding and he ends up shaving his head, is the OP will even say, it is so empowering to take that back, to literally just be like, fuck it, dude. Like, why am I worried about something that, you know, if you use minoxidil, if you use
Keeps, whatever.
Keeps is also, they use minoxidil as well. Keeps is not by itself, just so you guys know.
Just a fancy name, yeah.
But anyway, so if you use these products, you have to consistently use it. 1, 2. Then you have to use another thing on top of it in order to make sure that your DHT is blocked. And that has so many bad side effects to the point where you get permanent erectile dysfunction. I don't know about you guys, but I like to have that blood flow when I need it. So when you think about all these things and you think, is it really worth putting myself through that just because of the fact that I look very different than what I've looked like through my adolescence and into my young adulthood? Why does it matter so much? Because you think, well, it's just hair. But hair is a part of the identity. It is. But it's not. If anyone is out there balding or you're going through what I'm.
Look at what Zach is doing.
Oh yeah, Asmongold. Yeah.
Asmongold. He's got the.
You can keep that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's a choice to do, and my hair can do it too.
I kind of want you to do that. I kind of want you to do the comb over.
I have a very dense set of hair, but as you see it little by
clearly
little,
not.
No, I have a very dense set.
I don't remember it anymore.
I mean, I have this like Avatar shit going on.
I love it though.
I have like a fucking
no, you got the
line.
McDonald's thing going on.
Savage. Yeah, I had the little horseshoe.
The horseshoe. Yeah, you got a horseshoe. The Vegeta. The Vegeta. The Vegeta. No, you look. Yeah. No, see, they say that men who are bald are more attractive, actually.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, because you have to learn to build confidence
Dude,
all over.
It's a matter. Bald. Look at Jeff Bezos.
I can be an astronaut. I can be a firefighter.
You don't have to worry about how. You don't have to. You save money on shampoo and all that stuff.
You save a bunch of money on that shit.
I don't even think about it about going bald because I have long hair, but right. I do think about it sometimes. I'm like, you know what? If I had to, I'm fine with the beard. Like, I'll be fine.
Yeah, you're gonna be
I'll be chilling. And you too, dude. You were so lucky that your beard fills in properly.
Let's get in there.
No. I'm saying like you have it down. You got the Yes filter on. The Yas filter.
The Yas.
Are you not familiar with that one?
What is that?
It's like the filter that makes you look like a Yas queen. You know.
I'm dead.
Are you not familiar? Like, with the makeup and the hair did, makeup did, hair did, everything did, and then it's the Yas.
I'll say this: I am lucky with the facial hair that came in because, as my father can attest to this, most men on my side of the family don't have any facial hair. Mm-hmm. So I did get this good genetic, but it's a trade-off.
You got that conquistador, yeah.
My brother is 29 coming up in a week, something like that, and my brother has a full set of hair, like completely. He's not going to go thin at all.
Oh, he recently cut it though, right? Yeah,
he did recently cut it, but even after he's cut it, his hair has grown back
tenfold.
Bruh, that's crazy. But you get your genetics. Like, I got that, and my brother can't get a beard, so it is what it is.
It is what it is.
There is a thing for all young men. Is that you do have a time period where you'll figure out whether or not you can grow a beard, and that time period is 25 to 28. That's when your full terminal hair of your beard is supposed to come in. So if you're 28 and you can't grow it, sorry, buddy, you might just have to start wearing some minoxidil and
wearing some minoxidil.
No, like people grow beards out of minoxidil.
I don't. You can do it. I don't feel bad for people who can't grow a beard because if I couldn't, I guess I would try to make do with what I have, whatever that means. Like,
I want to be able to grow something like yours. Unfortunately, I don't have that.
You could. It just takes a long.
I don't have that genetic. You grew that in 3 months.
No.
Right now, I'm at about.
I'll go back and check the videos.
It was about.
I'll go back and check the videos. Yeah, you might be right.
I'm at about maybe a month and a week.
Yeah, I mean, like if the more pussy you eat, the more your beard grows. So
yeah,
there's something in there that moisturizes the skin.
Yeah. That discharge.
I have some. Yeah, the discharge. Yeah, some of that discharge. See, you're catching on. Some of that discharge, it goes a long way.
Rub that shit in. Like rub that shit.
Some.
That's my facial cleanser.
It's some beard balm. Some of that beard balm. Some of that exfoliation.
All right.
Look, guys, we appreciate it. We understand.
This was a super long episode.
Yeah, super long for a generally speaking episode. Hope
If
you get all the way
made
through
this
it.
far, thank you.
We do appreciate everybody who tunes in every fucking week. Want to
Every
say again, thank you. We will catch you guys next week.